Yeah, so I see a lot of people on here that have either the books have shipped or there's a stack right there of about 10 more. One, two, three, four, about maybe 10 more. They're going out tomorrow. It took Amazon forever to get me the books, but anyway, there you go. So I got those books on the way to those of you that ordered them. Some of y'all may have already got them. But for this presentation, I want to do a little bit different than normal. We're not going to see a bunch of slides. I think I've got 5 slides or 8 slides. I really want to dive into what we're, first of all, kind of get caught up with everybody, talk about what we're doing and how we're getting the traction that we're getting, and what I would call really the magic of 10 or the magic of 12. And that's when you get a lot of properties in one area, how powerful that is. So I will do a little bit. I've got a couple of slides here. Oh, thank you, Kathy. By the way, Kathy, we've got your seat reserved at the 3-day event. All we need now is for you to register.
Coming? Oh, come on, Kathy. Come see us.
I'm gonna open this up here. So I do have a few slides here, and then we'll jump into it here. Not many slides, I promise. I really want to show you all what we're doing here. But again, most everybody on here knows who I am, knows what we do. Certainly, if you don't, and you start to get a little bit lost in what we're talking about here, put in the chat box, raise your hand, whatever, and I'll stop and go back. But most of y'all know, obviously, who I am. Most of y'all know who Joe is. There is Joe Sesky, the coach extraordinaire, and John Ed, obviously, the customer support extraordinaire. But I've done lease options for 22 years. And 08, 09 was stupidly busy for me for lease options because everybody was drowning, of course. 07 through 09, maybe 2010. But right now, I mean, the market's not as bad as it was back then with that debacle. But a couple of things. We're seeing days on market, and we've been seeing this since 22. We've been seeing it go up and up. Days on market are coming up, which means prices come down. Longer days on market, prices come down. More and more sellers are needing a plan B. It's not unusual at all to see expired listings. Johnette pulls those every day from a third party that we use. And I don't know, Johnette, I don't check that. How many expires are you seeing on a weekly or maybe monthly basis in our area, Tarrant County?
On a weekly basis, of course, it varies. We get more on the first day of the month.
Yep.
Weekly, I would say an average of, 150 per week, average.
Yeah. So expired listings are not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all for me to see listings at 120 days, over 200 days even, or maybe they extended the contract with the agent or whatever. But I say that because this is a very powerful time to be doing lease options and seller finance. So I'm going to dive into seller finance a little deeper than I have, not too deep, but a little bit deeper than I have before on presentations, because we're doing, I don't know, maybe 10% of our deals are seller finance. Now, I don't have a course on seller finance. I'll never have a course on seller finance. Don't have no desire to do that, because when we do a seller finance deal, which we'll get into, there's nuances in there, the way we're setting the numbers. With the lease option, it's super easy, right? We literally have a lease option calculator. We've got the seller price sheet. It's just copy paste. Seller finance is different. There are little nuances in there. One of the things I'm going to do is I'll talk about a deal that you're going to see me send email 1 and 2 to this seller and his agent. And I'll talk to you about that here in just a little bit. So you actually get to see me do the price sheet and blah, blah, blah. Although I already did the price sheet, but I'll walk you through that. So it's so busy right now that I have agents like this agent reaching out to me on Facebook saying, hey, can you help me with this listing I have? It's a $500,000 house in an area where you may not normally see a $500,000 home. She goes, and I'm having problems moving it. I said, yeah, I can help you with that. And I said, but that's in an area I don't have any houses, so it may take longer. I think that was Monday. This is Wednesday. I think that was Monday. Yeah. That day, I got a call from a lady about another house I had. I don't even remember what house it was. And it turns out that was actually too far for her. She works in hospitals around Temple, Texas. But you wouldn't be familiar with Texas, but Waco, Temple, that area. I don't do stuff down there. And I'm like, so I texted her this morning. I said, I may have a house coming up for you. I told the buyer that. And I gave her the address because it's on the MLS. And she saw it. She goes, "Oh my God, I love it. When can we see it?" So I texted the agent, "Hey, I may have a buyer." I said, "I'm just that good." But anyway, so because it's so busy right now because agents need us, sellers need us, investors need us. We're doing more and more stuff with investors, or at least I am, where they're sending us. I did a deal for an investor in Fort Worth, and he just sent me 4 new construction houses they did out in East Texas, brand new homes out there. So we just got those for our marketing. I have another investor that I filled one of his houses. I'm about to fill a second house. Filled one of his houses. The other one closes into this month. And the buyer that got this house, the investor was buying this. Anyway, he bought the house of the buyer. Does that make sense? The buyer was in a house, seller finance, got into this house with this investor. And so I positioned it to sell this house to the investor. And that closes at the end of the month. And so then that investor said, "Hey, I've got 12 more in the pipeline." So because of that, and I've said this before in my coaching calls, I'm doing what I've told my students never to do, which means I've let up on the marketing. My bad. I make some of the same mistakes my students make. What I mean is I haven't done direct mail in a couple of months. I haven't needed to, and I've just been so busy with all these deals from investors and a couple of agents. But nevertheless, so it's been very busy here. Now, so what I'm going to, oops, let me click here. So this is one of the 8 slides here. So most of y'all know what we do. I'll do a screen share of our website here in just a second, again, just to refresh some of you all for what we do. Talk about lease options, lease option assignments, how we get paid, how we structure them, seller finance, what that looks like. Why would we position a seller finance versus a lease option? How do we present that to the seller? How do we structure those numbers? What tools do I use online to help present that to the seller? And of course, then how do we market the properties? How I use my VA to market my properties for me. When I get a property, I don't post anything on leasing to buy even anymore. She does it all for me. So she does that, but I'll get into that. And then I'm going to talk about the live event we have coming up. This is very unusual for us to have a live event, but I'm super excited about it. So I'll talk to y'all about that as well. Again, with what we do, we're marketing to sellers that need a plan B. And I tell sellers, look, we're plan B. We're a marketing company. And this is what I tell sellers, look, I'm plan B. We're a marketing company. Plan A is you stick your sign in the yard, and in 5 days you have 5 offers. Those days have been gone since into 21, 22. And so we're plan B, and we structure different strategies to get a lot more eyes on your house. And that's what we do. And I'm a marketing company. So as I'm looking at this, Mr. Seller, I'm looking at it from how can I get as many eyes on this as possible? So I'm looking at it from a marketing perspective. And that plays in some as I'm talking about seller finance if I think it may be a fit, which again, I'll get into. But again, all we're doing is packaging up the lease option, presenting that to the seller, which you're going to see me here in a second, send 2 emails to a seller. And then the seller says, "Hey, yeah, let's do it." We send the contracts to them via DocuSign, and then they sign them, get them back, and now we're marketing the property, which I'll get into a little bit about how we market that as well. But I used to do 3 emails, email 1, 2, and 3. The third would go with the contracts. I don't even do that anymore. I just send them via DocuSign. Here you go. Sign here, and they do it. And that's what we do. And I'll show you our website just again, refresh some of you all on what we do, how this is structured, and all of that. And we've got Joe Seski on here, so definitely want to bring him on in a second to talk a little bit about what he's been doing with our students, what they're seeing out there as well from the sellers. Because he's in the trenches every day, twice a day, with our students and with these sellers as well. But that's what we do is we're simply assigning the contract. And because we're a marketing company, and I realized this last year, I don't know, I didn't realize it before, but I realized this last year is that especially I look at some of our students that we work with, our dream partners, and some of them don't know anything about real estate. Now you'd think that would be a detriment, but it doesn't matter. It's just how do you put the numbers together and market it? We're a marketing company, right? You don't have to know anything about real estate. I don't know if anybody on here has ever wholesaled houses. I certainly have some, but with what we do, you don't have to know how much a roof costs or AC or any of that. I couldn't tell you how much a piece of sheetrock costs. I don't know. So you don't have to know anything about that. So we're working with nice houses, nice areas, move-in ready, packaging up the lease option and assigning that. So I'm gonna switch gears for just a second. I want to show you our website to show you again what we're doing. I'm gonna bring Joe on here, talk a little bit about what he's seeing with the students, what he's seeing out there as well. And then I'm going to show you this real deal I've got here. It's not fancy. It's not complicated. You're going to see me send 2 emails. Isn't that fascinating? It's not hard, but I'm going to switch screens here. And while I do this, I'm going to pull up my website. Joe, so just in case for some of y'all that don't know, so Joe Seski is our coach. He's a guy doing two classes a day, 2 trainings a day with our dream partners. One kind of in the morning, one in the evening. And so he's pushing them and pushing them to get these deals done. Joe, let's talk a little bit before I share the website and talk about the structure of the deals. What are you seeing with the students and with the sellers as far as with the desperation of these sellers needing a plan B?
General, it depends on the market, right? There's certain areas and cities that are just a crap show right now, right? Tampa's one, Houston, where there's just a lot of inventory that's not selling, right? So whenever something's not selling, that makes the sellers more open to something creative like a lease option or seller finance. With the interest rates that they are right now, they're hovering around high sixes, seven, somewhere around there for a 30-year fix. It definitely has cooled off the buyers a little bit for sure. So that's good. So we're seeing buyers who are having a little bit more difficulty getting their financing, and we're pairing them with the sellers that are having a tough time selling their property. So I would say overall, it's been good. It's been better, but it depends where you are. Some cities have been just lead after lead, when others that are I'm a little bit more hot, it's a little bit more difficult. But we've been doing deals every single day. We're sending price sheets. We're talking to sellers, buyers, contracts, price sheets. It's just every day.
Yeah, and I'm gonna share with you all my screen and show you Tampa. Joe's talking about Tampa. So I've got Tampa pulled up actually. And someone put in the chat box, what market am I seeing those days on market? That's almost every market that I'm looking at. Now, Joe is going to have a better feel for the finger on the pulse of different markets, different areas, because I really just focus on Fort Worth, Tarrant County. But with a couple of students, I'll dive into their areas. But a couple weeks ago, I looked at Tampa again for some reason, and I was like, this is stupid. We don't have anybody working Tampa. I made a post on Facebook. Hey, I need someone in Tampa. Are you there, Kathy?
Yeah, I'm in California, but California's tough, so I want to go virtually. So I'll reach out to Tampa sellers. Yeah.
So I'm gonna share this with you. Why I made that post, because I normally don't do that, but I'm like, there's so much sitting there. These sellers are dying out there, and it's going to get worse. Now, I'm sure if y'all follow people in real estate on Facebook, you've probably seen some of the charts out there that, hey, the housing is more unaffordable right now than it's ever been. Meaning, and you see the little charts, meaning that we may very well be the bubble may be about to pop, because it can only sustain that for so long. So let me I'm going to share my screen here with right here. So before I share our website, again, just recap with you all. So here's Redfin. Now, I like to use Redfin a lot just because of the data that you can pull from there. But here's Redfin, and I pulled 5 counties here. I didn't even go up to the north. I didn't go to the south, down to Sarasota. So I just pulled 5 counties right here. And again, this doesn't include down in Sarasota, down here, south or a little bit further north. So just this immediate area, kind of Tampa. And there's 39,000 houses for sale in Tampa. Now, if I go to all filters here, give me just a second here. If I go to all filters and I go to time on Redfin as more than 30 days, that's 30,000. Let me get rid of that. 30,594. Again, this doesn't even include to the north or just to the south. So imagine if you're trying to sell your house and you live in Tampa, almost 31,000 just in that area, not including south and north. 30,000 sellers you're competing with. What do you have to do? You have to drop your price. And you can only drop your price so far, right? And so these sellers are desperately dying out there. They need a plan B. They need help. And let's just see, that was over 30. Let's look at over 60. I don't know what that number is. Let's see what it is. So 22,000, almost 23,000 houses sitting there. That's crazy. Over 2 months. To put that in perspective, here in Tarrant County, I could pull up Tarrant County, but I don't know the numbers, but let's look at Tarrant County here for just a second. Now, this is where I live. So that was 23,000 over 60. Let's take a look here. I guess I could have just hit clear all. Let's take a look at where I live. So this is Tarrant County, and I'm going to go back to these filters here, and I'm going to go to over 30.
And over 30, I would add, John, is pretty much the time that sellers start to go into panic mode.
Yeah.
Usually when you intercept these a few weeks in, they're want to use my realtor for a little bit, test the waters. But once that day 30 hit, it's like a light switch and they're just freaking out for some reason and they're looking for that plan B. So those over 30 are very good leads right there.
Hey, I have a question about the using Redfin to do the filters. Whenever I put in 30 days, 60 days, whatever, it doesn't seem to catch that. I still get listings that are like a day old or whatever. Am I supposed to do something else?
No, it should still be fine in California. Yeah, matter of fact, I know it is. I've done it before. But so let me get to that in a second.
Okay.
But here's Tarrant County. You've got 3,800 homes. And I didn't put any other filters like price and homes only, whatever. But if I were to put some more filters on here, it'd be under 2,000. But just going with this number, trying to compare apples to apples here, 3,800 homes here in Tarrant County over 30 days compared to over 30,000. There's Barbara, over 30,000 in Tampa area. Now, I'm here in Tarrant County, okay? And if I'm consistent about direct mail, which I haven't been the last couple of months because I've been getting so many leads from other sources, but having said that, if I do direct mail simply once a month, and I'm not going to mail 30 to 100 pieces, believe me, I'm going to filter this down to where it's like 1,000 or 800 pieces. That keeps me very busy. I get a lot of houses. And so imagine 10 times that, right? Now, I'm just using Tampa as an example, but guys, this is how it is in almost every area of the United States. There may be some little pockets where it's not like that, but it's bottom line is sellers need us. They need us right now. They need us really as bad as they've ever needed us for a plan B. And this is why these conversations are so easy with these sellers. We're not trying to sell them anything. We're not pitching them anything. We're saying, hey, here's what we do. I'm plan B. I'm a marketing company. We've got a couple of programs. We got a lease option. Some cases we can do seller finance. You make more money, but it depends on what you can do. But we'll talk about that. Kathy, what county are you in?
Sacramento.
Sacramento County. So I'm going to take off some of these filters just to see. So let me back up, Kathy. So we've got Nomax on here. So I'm just going to see here. 29, it's going to be 2,900 houses. And now I'm going to go to over 30. 1,547. Yeah, so that's it's working for me, Kathy.
You sure that each one of those are over whatever the days you put, 30 or 60?
Well, I'd have to look at every all 1,500.
But yeah, it doesn't seem.
If you want to go till 4 a.m., I can check all 15.
No.
But the reason I look at this, guys, is just get a feel for the market in a particular area. Now, again, I'm not looking to market in other areas for me. I'm just sticking with Tarrant County. I don't even market to Dallas County, although I get some houses out there because of investors. I just look to focus in Tarrant County. But when say someone comes on board as a dream partner, I'm looking at their market, looking at their area. I'm using Redfin to do that. Just say, hey, is this viable to plant your flag there? And what does that look like? But again, I'm just using this as a tool to gauge what the market looks like in any area. But when you have an area where you've got 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 houses on the market for over 30 days or 60 days, those sellers need help. They need that plan B. And that's why it's so easy to present this to the sellers. But again, so what we're doing here And this is what Joe does with our students twice a day, is using our marketing techniques through scraping and texting for sell by owners and expireds, and getting those sellers to respond, get on the phone with them, find out what their situation is, what's going on with the house. Is it vacant? Is it empty? Have you moved? What's up? How long has it been on the market? That type of thing. We simply say, again, we're plan B, and here's what we do. And so we just, Alex, look at that nice house. Oh, that's the one, that gated community they just got. So here's one that our dream partner Alex got. I'm just going to click on it as an example. But you can see this is a beautiful home. I can tell you right now, I hadn't sold yet. It's next to a retaining wall, it looks like. If this is accurate. It's next to some big wall. So I don't know how long this thing's been on the market with the seller, but that's probably why I hadn't sold yet. But again, a nice, beautiful home. We get about 5% option fee. In this case, $35,875. That's what Alex's fee will be to assign this contract to the buyer. The buyer's going to be paying $4,000 a month to the seller. Then we're going to put that buyer into our pipeline with our loan officer to get that buyer financed within 12 months. But again, this is what we're doing. This seller, I don't know the story behind it. I haven't talked to the seller. This seller obviously had a problem selling this house, and who knows how long it was on the market or if it was expired listing. Alex used Joe's help, use our marketing techniques. Joe, do you happen to remember at all anything about this seller, or was this one that just Alex did?
This was pretty, I didn't speak to the seller, Alex did, but this was straightforward. We didn't have any issues with this. We set numbers on it, set the numbers to the seller. Seller was cool, plugged in the contracts, and now we're marketing it. So I don't have specifics, but there was nothing out of the ordinary on this. I know it's a townhome, but other than that, nothing special.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, that's what we do, guys, all day, every day, is we're marketing to sellers that can't or having a problem selling. Here's one that Donnie just got. Do you see this one that Donnie got? Down in Godly?
Yeah, we worked on numbers for this one. It's a gorgeous house.
Oh man.
I don't know where Godly is though. I didn't look.
It's south. It's out towards around Crowley.
Yeah, so it's a little ways out there, but it is. If that same house was in DFW, how much more expensive that would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gorgeous. I think we're offering that. Is that seller finance as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the seller finance.
Yeah.
We might have it both ways. We're offering it both ways, lease option as well as seller finance. So the seller was cool with either selling it, short-term 12-month lease option, or seller finance. So the seller didn't mind. So that's cool. We can present it both ways to a buyer. Yeah.
And I'm going to talk here in just a little bit, Joe, about the difference between lease option, seller finance. How do we get paid on each? What does that look like? How do we structure the numbers without trying to get too granular on that? Because we are doing more seller finance. So I'll talk about that. But again, this is what we're doing, guys. This particular one, the seller's offering both lease option or seller finance. We've got a $97,000 option fee. I'm not sure how much of that Donnie's going to make. Donnie tends to do one house a month and then goes to play golf for a month. That's what I've decided. That's
and he doesn't invite us.
I know.
Yeah.
You know. I talked to him the other day
He's ashamed of us. He doesn't want us golfing in
that's
his
what it is.
community.
He's ashamed of us. I called him the other day to help him on one of his deals or answer a question for him. And he goes, I'm about to tee off here. I go, what? And I go, and I think I said, how come you never invited us? He goes, that's a work thing. It's a networking thing. That's a way of saying I'm ashamed of y'all.
Sure.
Yeah. But again, guys, this is what we do. These are the new houses I just got from an investor. I did no marketing to get these houses. It was just a relationship. Same thing with this. Another investor reached out to me. Hey, I need some help on this property. Okay, great. This one's seller finance, just because he took this one sub 2. But this is what we do. We just structure the terms, package it up, and then market that to the end buyer. So before I get a little bit further down the road into how we get paid and what that looks like on the lease option, I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a second. And I want to talk about this particular deal. Hey, Barbara, how you doing, girl? Is that the one? Yeah. So here's this house right here. And I want to show this to you just to give you how this came about. The agent that has this listing reached out to me and said, hey, John, I've got this. Can you help me with the listing? And she sent me the address. And so I pulled up and said, yeah, I can help you with that. I said, I don't have any houses down there, so it may take longer to find someone. I said, but I can at least market it. It's free marketing to the seller. So I put some initial numbers together, sent those to the agent, and then she got with the seller and explained it a little bit. And then the seller said, okay, yeah, we can do that. Because it's just sitting there. It hadn't been sitting there that long, 63 days, but she knows they're just not getting any traction on it because they feel like it needs some updating. Anyway, it just so happened that day I had someone reach out to me about a house I had up here, and turns out they wanted one down there in the Temple area. And I said, well, I may actually have one coming up. So what do we do what's that process look like? And y'all probably seen me do this before. It's literally just 2 copy paste emails that I send to the seller. So it's super simple. And I'm going to show y'all this right now. So this is for this house right here. And I'm going to send 2 emails. Share my screen. Actually, I'm going to share the entire screen here. I'm going to minimize that so I don't care. So let me share the entire screen so you can see everything that I'm about to do here. So let me get rid of that. So here, I've got to send email number 1. Email number 1, I click on my sticky notes, go here, boom. I go edit, select all, edit, copy. I go over here to the email, boom. Now I'm going to put in Amir, Curani @gmail.com. And then Joanna. Come on. Maybe it's 2 N's. The hell? Oh, wanna. So I'm going to put this email together. I'm adding a little bit to it just because the agent had spoken to him. So here's this. Now I'm going to go here. Go down to here. How's lease purchase help? Boom, boom. There you go. There's email 1. Now I'm going to go to here, edit, select all, edit, copy. And I'm going to go back to my emails here. I'm going to hit new message. And Amir. Excuse me. Sarani.
So email 1 was just sending the price sheet and kind of a nice talking to you.
So I send email 1. I send Joe is how's lease purchase help?
Oh, okay. We send that. We use that as an attachment.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
yeah. So I send email 1. How's lease purchase help with that wording, then the attachment. Then I send email 2.
Okay.
But I've seen you send it out as
Yeah, and then
just
we
an
have
attachment.
the price breakdown. I made a PDF. So what you're inserting now, I made a PDF. Okay.
I thought I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, we send the same thing. You just send. Does it confuse your sellers at all, sending 3 separate emails?
So I don't send that 3rd email. So it's the first. The way I look at it, Joe, is that first email is like an introductory kind of foot in the door.
Yeah.
Hey, here's who. Well, I'm working on some numbers. Here's who we are. Here's what we do. Here's the
Right.
problems the sellers face. Here's how we fix it. And then that attachment.
Okay.
Then the second email is the numbers.
Oh, okay. Because we just usually send one price sheet out with nice talking to you, follow up tomorrow, and then
Yeah.
attachment 1, seller price sheet, attachment 2, exactly what you're pasting and copying right now.
Yep.
and then that's it. And that kind of cuts down on confusion. But yeah, that works. I was just okay.
Now I'm gonna put this together and then I'll break it down for y'all.
You were in bed. Why did she get in bed, honey?
So I'm just filling this in with the numbers that I've already actually put together on the price sheet. Figures, boom. Okay, so now I'm sending this email to with the price sheet here to the seller. So that's it. And here's the, I don't know where's my price sheet? So here's the price sheet on it. They're asking 500,000. So I raise it just a little bit, which by the way, I told that agent before I realized I may have a buyer, I said, you should drop the price to 495 because you get a lot more traction on it instead of 500,000. And she agreed.
497, right? That's why Walmart ends.
That's
all their
right.
prices.
497. Yeah.
I don't know why, but anything that ends in
There's
seven, that's the
seven.
rule.
It's psychologically the seven. Will
I
attract
don't know
buyers.
why.
But so here's the numbers I put together: 512. I put the option fee at 20,000. Not realizing I potentially had a pocket buyer, right? I made that a little bit higher. 4,000 to the seller. Normally I wouldn't give maybe 3,000, but again, I set this at 20,000 instead of 25 because I thought I don't have any houses down in Woodway, Texas. I'm just gonna have to rely on online marketing. But again, it looks like it may have a potential buyer for this. And then a concession 4,800, monthly payment 2,995. And there you go. And that's the price sheet that I just sent to the seller with that second email. So then what I'll do is I'll call him tomorrow just to make sure he got the two emails, which the agent's already reviewed this with him. So he got it, understood it. But I just want to have that conversation with him to make sure he understands all that. So there we go. Email 1, email 2. Then I follow up with them the next day, see if they got the email, see if they had any questions. Their number one question that they have is, how soon can you find somebody? That's the number one question that we tend to get. And then they'll have some other questions sometimes. How long does it take to find somebody? They may ask, do I have to pay taxes and insurance during this? What if they don't buy? Some questions like that. But you're going to find it's like the same 6 questions over and over. Matter of fact, I tell if I've got a student, if we've got a dream partner that seems to be nervous talking to sellers, I think like Ty was a little bit nervous when he first started. And I said about questions they're going to have. I said, you know what? You get a legal pad out and you write down every time you talk to a seller, you write down every question they had. And after you've talked to 10 sellers, you're going to go back through your legal pad and go, oh, it's the same damn question.
Yeah. And I don't remember the last time I asked a seller for a mortgage statement, what their balance is. We don't need any of that information. A lot of these properties are listed or recently listed. I know their asking price for the most part. We're calculating the lease payments. There's not a whole lot of moving parts when we're doing the lease option. You don't get that pushback. And I get nervous too. I don't want to ask sellers about their personal life. What's your payoff amount? What was your father like? I don't ask those questions. How's that divorce? I don't need to hear that shit. So the conversations, they flow really well.
Yeah.
So we're really just getting that email address, and all right, I'll put together some numbers and have them in your inbox later this afternoon. So the conversations, I love talking on the phone for lease options because it's easy. Wholesaling, that's different. Hey, what do you owe? Why are you such a scumbag loser not paying you know what I mean? I don't like to talk about that. So I'd rather talk to happy people than miserable people.
Yeah. And find out what's wrong with the house.
Yeah. What are the repairs? I don't want to deal with that.
So when the lease option, like Joe said, I almost never ask unless for some reason it came up in the conversation somehow after I sent the numbers. I never asked for how much do you owe? What's the interest rate? Whatever. Now seller finance, which I'll get into, can be a little bit different because I want to make sure that we're going to be in good shape there. On lease
we're not
option,
pitching that out of the gate. Our bread and butter flagship firstborn baby here is our lease purchase program. And then if they want to do seller finance or that's appropriate, then we get into that a little bit more. So it's very natural.
Yeah, and to tie a bow on the lease option, then we are going to get into seller finance here. So how are we paid again on the assignment is when we market this, the buyer pays us our option fee. They wire that to us, and then we disperse the funds from there. In this case, say 4,000 to the seller, and then we keep the 16,000. But that's how it's super simple. They just wire us the money. We, depending on where the property is, we'll send the documents to the buyer via DocuSign. They sign them, and they get them our bank information for them to send the wire. And so that's how we're paid on the lease option. The lease option does not close at a title company. It's literally DocuSign. In my case, here in Tarrant County, if need be, or if it's appropriate, I'll go to the house. I closed one a couple of weeks ago was that a couple weeks ago? May, yeah. So yeah, a couple weeks ago in Hearst. I did that in person. I've got a small one from an investor who's now sending me more properties, and I'm closing that one in person. It's a small one.
And when you say closing, you mean closing our portion of the deal. It's
Right.
not the financing closing, which will take place towards the end of that year when they do
Right.
get their 30-year fix. So closing for us is just us getting the paperwork signed and collecting the check at move-in or prior to. And then the actual closing, the financial closing, will take place towards the end of that year.
Yeah. So when I say
That
closing,
confuses
there's really
people.
two closings on the lease option. There's the lease option closing, meaning we're signing the documents, they give us the money. Then they're living in the house, they go to get financed, and there's that closing when they get financed takes place at a title company. Yeah. But that's it. It's really incredibly simple. And I say this all the time that what we do is so simple that a lot of people way overthink it. And it's just not that complicated. It's
Yeah. John and I could do it then.
yeah. If we can
Anybody
do it,
can do it.
anybody
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we set the numbers. I wanted to go into a little bit now, make the transition to seller finance because we are doing more of them. Now, Joe and I have a little bit of a different approach. When I'm talking to a seller, again, as Joe said, the lease option's the tip of the spear, right? That's what we're known for. That's what we're so good at. But as I'm talking to a seller and I'm looking at the house online, if it has something like that house Donnie got with 2 acres, or maybe if it's a smaller home like this one I'm actually doing a lease option on, I had suggested that we do seller finance, and I actually tried to move it seller finance,
I agree.
and I couldn't
Yeah,
get
any more rural properties or anything really expensive, believe it or not, I'd prefer to market it as many ways as possible, but anything in the luxury market or more rural, definitely I approach that with seller financing hat on for sure. Because those more expensive properties aren't going to go a lease purchase because somebody who can afford $1 million, $2 million property but can't get a mortgage, that's probably not going to go lease option. It's probably going to go 1099 guy, a business owner, something like that. So the pricier, really pricier homes, we definitely want to focus on seller finance and anything more rural, just because.
yeah. So when we get houses that are over here in this area, say maybe 500,000, 600,000, then what I do with the seller, I say, once I found out their story, what's going on, huh? Okay, blah, blah, blah. We're plan B. I do the same spill. We're plan B. We're a marketing company. Here's what we do. And I said, we've got a couple of programs, what we're known for and have been for 22 years, the lease purchase or the lease option. We get you full price. You get cash out in a year and you don't pay us a commission. Of course, I can send you some information on that. I'll get your email address before you hang up here. But I'm looking at your house here and fill in the blank. It's 750,000. It's rural, like Joe said, 2 acres, 3 acres with a workshop. It's a little $230,000 house in an area that I'm like, that's not best for a lease option. That's seller finance. What I'll do is I'll say, I'm looking at your house right here. Now your house is listed at 800,000. Now I'm certainly going to put some lease option numbers together for you and send those to you. Something else that you may want to look at, may want to consider is seller finance. Now, not all sellers are able to do that or want to do that. What happens is you're going to make more money on seller finance, but also what happens is you're now fishing into a bigger pool of buyers. I can send you some preliminary numbers on that, make a little video for you, at least show you what that looks like. And so I'm not determining right then and there, okay, we're going to do seller finance. I'm just saying, hey, here's what we do. By the way, looking at your property, may want to at least take a look at seller finance and what that may look like. So what do I do with seller finance? And how do I present that to the seller? Because I know Joe's got a fancy spreadsheet, I think. What I do is I just simply make a Loom video, and I'll show you this. Where'd my browser go? Okay, so let me pull this up. So let's take this house as an example. That one in wherever that was, Woodway or whatever. So what I do is I go to calculator.net, mortgage calculator. I put whatever the lease option price was, I put in here. Down payment, I'll put in normally you can put a percentage or a dollar amount, and then you've got your interest rate. And what I do is I'm playing with these numbers, and this is why we've got the lease option calculator that anybody could use. You just plug in one number. With seller finance, there's a little bit of a nuance because you're playing with those numbers a little bit to try to make them look attractive, if at all possible. And so I'll put in, like I say, in this example, say 30,000 down, 6% interest. And this is what this is what the buyer's principal and interest payments are going to be each month. That does not include taxes and insurance. So what I do then is I make a Loom video and I'll say, now, Mr. Seller, I'm looking here at the mortgage calculator. Now, these are numbers we're just playing with just to see what this might look like. We can always adjust these numbers, but I've got the price in here, the 512, down payment 30,000. Now with seller finance, a lot of people try to get 10% down, which is, you can do that, but then it's a matter of how long is it going to sit there, right? But again, we can play with these numbers, but just to kind of show you an example here, 30,000 down, 6% interest. Maybe I'd say 6.5% interest, right? Because the rates are at 6.75-ish, I think, right now. And so then I calculate it and I say, now here's what your principal and interest are going to be every month coming to you. If they were to go 30 years, you're going to make 600,000 just in interest. But most buyers sell or refi it within 8 years, 10 years. Anyway, so I make a Loom video, which is a screen video of this. It's 3 minutes long, and then I send that to the seller.
I like that. I like that because it's more personable.
Yeah.
Anything video is better. I just create a simple price sheet, like a credit card statement where it
Yeah.
has all the numbers, interest rate, the term. But I might do this in the future.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
as long as you get them the numbers. Yeah.
yeah, because so I make a Loom video because then I can talk them through. Say, now these aren't set in stone, but I just want to get some numbers. All right, who is that? Johnny, do you see somebody named Nick or Nicholas is marking on my screen? How do you do that? How do you mark on someone's screen like that?
I don't know. I didn't see.
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
Nick. Joe, where would you come up with that?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Nicholas, if you're having a stroke, blink twice.
Not him, you. I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, no, he deleted it, I think.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, but then I'll say these numbers aren't set in stone, just playing with these. But this, again, this gets the conversation going. And they may come back and say, no, I can't do this, seller friends. Okay, great, whatever. But again, if it was a rural property or it had a few acres, a workshop, something, or maybe a $240,000 house in an area, I'm like, oh, that's seller finance. Then I would,
or mobile homes for sure,
but
because they
mobile-
can't get traditional financing
Yep.
typically. So anything
So,
really cheap or really expensive or out in the middle of nowhere, I think seller fi.
because then I send this to the seller. Now, you have to understand, guys, there's 4 pools of buyers in real estate. There's MLS buyers, meaning pre-qualified, pre-approved, lease option buyers, seller finance, owner-occupied buyers, and seller finance investor pool. The biggest pool of buyers out there is seller finance investors. The way we set the numbers, it's normally doesn't really work for the seller finance investor pool. But depending on the conversation with the seller, what's going on here, I will say, now, if we want to tap into the biggest pool out there, then these are the numbers we want to play with. Maybe we make this 25,000 down and 6% interest, right? Just depending on what the seller's interest rate is, to make that sexy enough to really tap into that seller finance investor pool buyers. Because investors really want to buy houses either subject to or seller finance. In other words, they want to save their capital instead of paying for cash, get in on terms. And this is where seller finance comes in as well. But I'll take this, make a Loom video, send it to the seller. And then if they say, hey, yeah, let's do it, what's next? Now I don't send the lease option, we send the contracts. Seller finance, I send them as a very simple 1-page Word document, just a consultation agreement, and it lays out the terms that they agreed to and they sign it. So now we're off to the races marketing that. We market that to the buyers see it. Oh my gosh, we love the house. Okay, great. Then we send them to the RMLO. Send them to the RMLO. RMLO will underwrite them. We put a purchase and sell agreement together, seller finance addendum together, send that to RMLO. She goes, yep, okay, they're good to go. Gets sent over to the title company. Now, title company goes to work getting all the documents together from the seller and the buyer. And then they close. The way we get paid on seller finance is we're going to get paid the same amount as we would on the lease option, say, whatever, say 15,000, 16,000, whatever, depending on the property, say 16,000, 18,000, whatever. We're going to get paid the same amount, but now we send an invoice to title, consultation invoice, and we show up on the HUD and we get paid, and then title wires us the money. So that's how that works. There's more moving pieces involved with seller finance because you're talking about title company, RMLO, purchase and sale agreement, this and that. So there's more moving pieces, but you get paid title off the HUD. Kind of like if you did an assignment, you get paid at title, you get paid at close. We get paid a consultation fee, and it shows up on the seller side of the HUD. So that's seller finance right there. But again, like Joe was saying, cheaper houses in rural areas, mobile homes, that type of thing, we really wanted to at least really present seller financing on those. When I'm looking at seller finance and presenting that to a seller, then probably by that second conversation, I'm confirming, hey, do these numbers work? What's your interest rate? What's your PI? Just to make sure those all work. That's how we do seller finance. Now we've got the lease option or the seller finance under contract. How do we market them? I, here in Tarrant County, will go out and put my signs in the yard, my leasing to buy sign, my directional signs. That's where I get a lot of my buyers, is from the signs in the yard. And then my VA, what I'll do is I've got a lead sheet that I'll send my VA over in the Philippines. And I'll tell her, I'll say, hey, grab these pictures, 123 Main Street. And she'll go online and grab the pictures. Then I send her 2 sheets. One of them has the number information, the terms. The second one is the description. And she goes to work, and she's the one that'll post it on leasing to buy for me. Like this one, like these new houses I just got, I didn't post that. My VA did. And then she'll go into Facebook, post that in some really good Facebook groups, post on my wall, different Facebook groups. And then she'll post on like Turbo Tenant, which is a syndication site that blasts it out to multiple sites as well. So she does all that for me. So I don't even do that anymore. That saves me a lot of time having her do that. But so again, we've got the lease option, we've got the seller finance. And so we're doing maybe 10% of our deals are seller finance, but we're marketing the same way as we would the lease option. With the lease option for our dream partners, I'm the one that gets the application and says yay or nay. Seller finance, we really want to send those to RMLO. I can underwrite them, but if it's an investor, like this guy is an investor, these guys are investors, they're doing more than 3 deals more than 3 seller finance deals in a year. I just want to be safe and send them to the RMLO, the buyer. But that's really it. So again, a few more moving pieces with seller finance. But again, going back here, I just can't emphasize this enough, guys. I haven't seen a market like this since 08, 09, where so many sellers needed a plan B. They need other alternatives. This agent just sent me this $500,000 home. She's the one that said, it ain't moving. We're not getting any, because it's a $500,000 home down outside of Waco that honestly needs some updating. It's a pretty house, but just someone's looking for a $500,000 home down there. They're going to want to be able to move in and do nothing, right? And this house, someone's going to want to go in and do some updating or change some things. And so they're getting horrible negative feedback. And so she told the seller, hey, I've got someone that I think could help. And so that's what we're doing. And this is why it's crucial that if you want to really get active in real estate, why this is so important right now to get involved in this. Let me stop sharing this for a second. There we go. So what I'm going to do for just a second here is I'm going to go to the chat box, because I've been talking for an hour here. See if there's some questions here. Cruz says, interesting. I wonder why sellers who have homes in California with listings over 6 days are unwilling to take a cut on the sales price. Are they listening to the real estate agents to hold steady on the price? Yeah, I don't know, Jesse. It's who knows if they're willing to take a cut or not. Again, it doesn't matter the market. If houses are sitting there, sellers need a plan B, whether it's the lease option or seller finance. I will say this about California is that lease in some areas of California, lease options it can be a little more difficult to market to find that buyer or to set the numbers appropriately to find that buyer because rental rates in some not all areas of California, but in some areas of California, rental rates are so low. Mike, what are you doing? How are people taking over my screen here? Mike, what? It's out of control. I've lost all control. People are marking up my screen, sharing their screen, sharing family photos. California rental rates are lower, meaning you may be able to rent a $1 million home for say, I don't know, $3,500 a month or something in some areas. We can't, we trust put the lease option numbers together. That $1 million home, it's got to be at a solid $5,000 a month. It's not going to move. They're like, why don't I just go rent a house? There are some areas you got the numbers get squirrely like that. Joe, you playing with your cat? What are you doing?
I have a studio audience here today. I'm just
Okay.
communicating with my audience.
All right. What's her name?
Yeah.
All
Any business.
right. Barbara said, so we take lead on getting documentation of the RMLO and title. Yeah, for seller finance, Barbara, we have the buyer says, hey, I want it, love it. Okay, great. We're going to send, we put the purchase and sale agreement, the seller finance addendum together, send those to the seller and buyer to be signed. Boom. Those have the terms in there. Send that to the RMLO, put the RMLO and the buyer in touch, and now the RMLO takes the baton, and now they take over from there. And the RMLO will be a huge help, is a huge help in the transaction coordinating process. Wayne said, did you say you put out signs at house and pointer signs too? Yeah, Wayne. So I've got our leasing to buy signs that I put in the yard, and then I put our directional signs up as well. In the yard, I put one in the yard that I try to drive traffic to the houses. The two houses I did in Hearst, one of them's closing end of month. Those were not from, those buyers came from drive-by from my directional signs. What is the reason why rural areas, cheap mobile homes and more expensive homes, better for seller finance? Okay, so Kathy, the reason rural areas, mobile homes, and even more, and then on the other side, the more expensive homes, at the end of the day, we're a marketing company, Kathy, and we've got to look at who's our avatar of buyer. Who is our buyer? Mobile home, as Joe said, you're not going to go get FHA financing on that. That avatar of buyer wants seller finance. They don't want to ever have to go to a bank.
I'm sorry, John. And those
no.
not only can you have a hard time financing those trailers, but the buyers at that price point typically aren't on the edge of being able to qualify for a mortgage. You're lower income, I've got the money, can't really show it, and but I need a place to live. That's why mobile homes work, because the banks, you can get financing for the mobile homes and modular homes. It's just a little bit more difficult. And then they also have to pass an inspection by the bank too, which some of those mobile homes can be a little hairy for the FHA inspection. And then just on the buyer side, tough time demonstrating that income. And then on the more expensive side, the really expensive homes, again, having a tough time demonstrating that income because they have the money, just not on paper. That's how I'd answer that.
And on the and going to the flip side, Kathy, on I think it was Kathy, yeah, higher end houses. Why would I say that? I like to look at seller finance, at least position that or present that to a seller who has $1 million home. Again, this goes back to the pool of buyers. Remember, there's 4 pools of buyers. $1 million property. What happens is at $1 million, not right at a million. In this area, say 600, 700, 8,000, 800,000 above, that lease option buyer pool starts to get smaller, but that seller finance, there's more seller finance buyers than lease option buyers. So they've got the money to put down, but they don't want to have to go to a bank. They don't want to have to spend, they don't want to have to claim everything they make on their taxes. It's one of the reasons. George said, past November, you mentioned there's George, he just popped open his camera. Past November, you mentioned your lease options manual. Is it possible to have it maybe for this group? Thanks. I'll tell you what, George, I don't have the physical binder anymore. I stopped doing that, but we've got everything online. And I tell you what, George, if you stick with me for about 10 minutes, I'll tell you how to get it and how to get me in person. Would you love that, George? All right. I can see the enthusiasm. Kathy, it's RMLO, Residential Mortgage Loan Originator. I think was that Kathy? Yeah. RMLO. Or is this Kathleen? Do we have a Kathy and a Kathleen? Wouldn't it be weird if we have Kathy Parker and Kathleen Parker? Anyway, it says Kathleen, our residential mortgage loan originator. What is a realistic, James Parker? What's a realistic? Oh, James, I sent your book. I don't know if you got it yet. No. What is a realistic expectation of finding buyers for leasing by property under agreement? In other words, a conversion. So this goes back to what I mentioned a little bit earlier about the power. I'll call it the power of 10. It's really like power of 10, power of 12. What is that? When there's something really magical that happens when you get 8, 9, 10 properties in an area, 11, 12 properties in an area. What happens is you have all these cars on the car lot, and now you can move them faster, right? So if you have one house under contract in Memphis, Tennessee, I don't know, and then you've got one house under contract in Orlando, Florida, you basically have one car on the car lot. So if you've got a 1985, if you go to a car lot with a 19, and your car is a 1985, I don't know, Chevy Camaro, I don't know. You got to wait for that buyer to drive by that wants a 1985 Chevy Camaro. But if your car lot has the Camaro, but then you've got 4 Hondas, 5 Hyundais, 6 pickup trucks, SUVs, minivans, whatever. Now you've got inventory to move because someone comes by, looks at the Honda and goes, hey, wait a minute, what's up with that Hyundai over there? And that's exactly what happens here is when you get 8, 9, 10 houses, 12 houses under contract in a certain area, whatever your area may be, your target area, you're going to be shocked at how much faster they move because someone will call about this house and they go, oh, that one's too small or whatever. I got this one over here. Oh, I want that one. And you'll end up selling another house. The lady that wants to go see this house in Woodway, Texas, she called about some other house I have. She didn't call. I didn't have that house yet. Really building up your inventory. You plant your flag, build up your inventory, 8, 9, 10 houses. You can move the properties a lot faster. Now you're still going to have some houses. Believe me, was it Jesse? Yeah, Jesse. Was it Jesse? Wait, no, I'm sorry. It was James. I'm sorry, James. You're going to have houses you can't move. I've got a house. I finally told the owner, I think it's cursed. Because I've lost so many directional signs. I've shown that thing. I don't know how many times I've had people see it. I've had 2 applications, 2 different applications. Both buyers were like, yeah, we want it. We'll send there this money Friday. And they're like, oh, we can't do it. And then right behind another buyer, oh, yeah, application. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to send there this money Monday. Oh, we can't do it. And I'm like, oh my God, someone just take this. I'll take $1 at this point. Let me just go pick up my damn signs. That happens, but most of the properties will move. But again, we do have some that is not getting the traction, and that's just the way it is. From the let me go back here. From the buyer side, is the option fee credited towards the purchase price? Yes. Like on that sheet I showed at 512, that 20,000 they're putting down, when they go to get financed, it'll show that they've already put 20,000 down on that property. If they go conventional, they'll need to put another 5%. I'm so sorry. They'll need to put another percent down to be at 5%. I know I'm probably confusing y'all with numbers. To go conventional on that house, they'll need 25,000 down, but they already put 20,000 down at the time of move in. So it goes towards their purchase. It goes towards the lender's required down payment. And then instead of a part of the monthly payment, we just do a flat seller concession, Jesse. And it's not a percentage. It's a flat dollar amount. For less expensive houses, $3,600. This house I was just showing y'all, put it at $4,800. And as you get more expensive houses, that concession goes up. On the seller finance deals, what do you typically make on that type of deal? Kenny, we're going to make the same as we would on seller finance. I've had a couple of students where they split the down payment with the seller. I just keep life simple and go, hey, what I normally will do is say, hey, here's the lease option numbers. You can see I'm going to make 20,000. I'll put the seller finance numbers. Guess what? I'm going to make 20,000. Okay, there's Kathy. How do you come up with the amount of option fee to give to the seller? It's, you know what, Kathy, it just depends on the mood I'm in. Normally, how come Michael Bray keeps getting kicked out? Normally, I'll give him, depending on how much I'm making, 2,000, 3,000, maybe. It just depends. If it's a higher priced house, I'm going to give them a little bit more money. If it's a $700,000 house and we're going to be charging, say, $35,000, I may give them $5,000. I may give them a little bit more. If it's an investor bringing us 12 deals, I'm going to say, hey, let's work together here. I'm going to give you a bigger portion of my fee because you're bringing me inventory. That's all up to you. Kenny, do these people, do these properties for seller finance have mortgages on them? Most of them do. If they have mortgages, could there be some due on sale clause issues possibly? So what's happening to Kenny is most of our seller finance are wrap notes. So it's all handled with the title company. Insurance is very important. We'll put the buyer in touch with an insurance broker that does a lot of insurance for wrap notes because that has to be worded very specifically on the policy. But is it possible a no call due? Yeah, I'm not worried about it, to be honest with you, because it's done properly at the title company. So here in Texas, there's two different title companies I'll use depending on the deal. If it's going to be a wrap, excuse me, if it's going to be a wrap note, I'm going to use Scott Horn because his disclosures for wrap notes are probably some of the best out there. If it was something like if it wasn't a wrap note, I'd probably use this other company here in Fort Worth just because they're very close to me. Their communication is very good. But anyway, so I'm not worried about the due on sale because the way it's handled with the title company and the insurance. We also use a servicing company, loan servicing company, Kenny, that the buyer pays, the servicing company pays the mortgage, taxes, insurance. So all that's taken care of. Will there be a replay of this webinar? Yeah, I'll try to get this out. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll try to get this out tomorrow. There's multiple steps that have to take place for us to do that, John, but we'll try to get this out Thursday, maybe Friday. Steve, RMLO, Residential Mortgage Loan Originator. Residential Mortgage Loan Originator. All right. So again, guys, we've talked about if you're wanting to get into real estate, or maybe you've tried, but you just feel like you're struggling, things aren't clicking, it's just whatever. It's just not happening. I'm telling you, I don't know that I've ever seen a better time to understand and learn even these two. I refer to them as creative finance, but it's really not. It's just because it's so simple. It's either lease option or seller finance because sellers need this. And I've just never really seen a time when it was so easy to have this conversation with sellers where we're saying, hey, yeah, let's do it. Let's make this happen with either option here. So now George had asked earlier about my operation manual, which I don't have the physical binder anymore, but I do want to talk about how George can get this and actually see me in person. So back in 2023, so I stopped doing the big boot camps with the 40, 50, 60 people in the crowd, all that. I stopped doing those in 21, I think, 22, 21. But then in 23, we did a small boardroom event here in Fort Worth. There were 10, actually, I think we made a mistake. I think we ended up with 12 people in there, and that was my bad because I wasn't counting for the fact that someone may bring their spouse or a business partner. The room got a little bit tight, but we had 12 people in that room, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I enjoyed it more than the big boot camps and the big with 80 people because now we're right there with the attendees. We're right there answering their questions. We can take the time to get very personalized with each one. Each person in that room got some one-on-one time with me where I'm talking about, okay, go outside and say, okay, where do you live? What's going on? What have you been doing? What's the game plan going to be for you when you leave here? What is your game plan? And let's put that together.
And that's where I think Donnie
came from.
And he's doing 2 deals a month.
Dude, he's got a lot of time on the golf course. So Donnie's been crushing it, and he's not even pushing it hard, in my opinion. He's too busy on the golf course. But that's where Donnie Fisher came from. He was a graduating class of that. So again, guys, we've got a 3-day live boardroom event. This is June 26th, 27th, 28th. June 26th, 27th, 28th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday here in Fort Worth, in downtown Fort Worth. It is a boardroom. It is not a big ballroom. There's going to be 10 people in that room. And again, if you've ever felt you needed more information, man, if I just had a little more information, I think I could make this work. Or if you just need more specific personalized guidance that maybe, oh man, if I could just see them actually do these deals in front of me, it would all click. That's exactly what this is about. Because when you're talking about only 10 people in a room, there's a lot of time to really get granular with anything that you need some help with. And that's
Can you post it again?
Sorry?
Can you post the date? You were showing the date.
Oh, yeah, June. I'm so sorry. June 26th, 27th, 28th. June 26th, 27th, 28th. And I'll show it to you.
Is that a weekend, John? What days are those?
That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And again, so there we are. Yeah, so the 3-day event is June 26th, 27th, 28th in Fort Worth, Texas. Actually, I went down to the hotel today and they're like, hey, John, because of course they recognized me. I went up and made a quick little video of the boardroom up there. But yeah, so 26th, 27th, 28th. Now, again, guys, this is a very small event. There's only, the room will hold more because today I saw it with 12 seats in it, but I don't want to do that. So 10 seats. 3 of those seats, believe it or not, are actually gone. I made a post on Monday and Tuesday on social, on Facebook, and a few people already snagged up and secured
Did the
their
Motel 6 not have a bigger conference room for you, John?
yeah, the Motel 6 we're at, they've only got one room, and it's not even a conference room. They put like a
Did
hotel
you share
room
that with
outside.
the vending machine?
Yeah, they're actually having to move one of the beds out of the room.
Gotcha. I see.
So 3 of the seats are already gone. So we've got 7 seats left. And since you all are, I think everybody on here is on my email list, you know that I haven't blasted this out to my email list yet, which that'll start, if the seats are still available, that'll start tomorrow or Friday. Then we'll get those seats filled. But again, this is a very small, intimate event. So we're going to be covering all things lease options. You're going to see us actually do the marketing. You're going to see us scraping and sending text messages to the sellers. We're going to be talking about direct mail. You'll most likely see me do a direct mail campaign. So you're going to see us do all the marketing right there in front of you. You're going to hear us talk to sellers. People love hearing Joe and I talk to sellers. So you're going to hear us talking to sellers live right there in the event, sending price sheets, putting deals together. You're going to see how we market the properties, how my VA does the marketing for me, and how our students market these properties as well. You'll see how to close the deals. Of course, we'll be talking about Texas lease options. So we'll talk about Texas lease options, the laws, what the law actually says, and how we do them here in Texas. And of course, we'll be covering contracts, documents. How do you fill out the contracts? How do you fill out the price sheet? How do you send these copy paste emails, and going through everything as well. We're going to be doing a deeper dive on seller finance than we did last time. Again, we're going to go deeper into how do we pitch this to sellers. Let's look at the numbers. What's actually involved with seller finance? What does amortization look like? How do we close these? And we're going to go into what's the actual paperwork. You'll see the actual paperwork that we utilize for seller finance, our consultation agreement. I'll get you a copy of that. So you'll have everything that we use as well. So you'll see all that put together. So you're going to see our entire systems, and you're going to leave with an actual game plan. My desire is just like last time, is that I've got time with each person there to talk to them privately and say, okay, what's going on? Where do you live? What have you been doing so far? Okay, let's look at the market. What's your game plan to leave here? I want you to leave there with an actual game plan that you can execute. Now, you're also going to receive, all the attendees are going to receive my new book. I know some of y'all have already ordered it, some of y'all have already received it, but I'm going to give you my new book. You're even going to get access, have access to my entire online training. This is all the training videos, the documents, contracts. You're going to get everything that we have online.
Yeah,
that's huge. A big bonus is Joe's buying your dinner on that Friday night. That was fun last time. We all went out to dinner. So on that Friday night, the 27th, I'm buying everybody's dinner. You're going to get everything that we have, all the training that we do. You're going to see us do live deals, talking to sellers, how we do the marketing, how we set the numbers, the documents, and really step you through everything and give you an executable game plan before you leave. You're going to get access to my entire online training. We'll set you up with an account there so you can log in and start doing some homework even before the event. So you're going to get all that. And then again, I'm buying everybody's dinner Friday night. So again, really imagine spending 3 days in a very small, intimate setting to really absorb this information and to be able to ask any questions you have. One of the problems with having 60 or 70 people in a room is you can't always get your question answered, right? Because with that many people, it really crunches down our time that we have to be able to really answer every question and dive as deep as we want. With 10 people, it's a totally different atmosphere. And again, we will be doing deals at this event as well. So you're going to see this actually come full circle. Now, we did this in 23. We started to do it in 24, but then we couldn't get the dates to work. But we did this in 2023, the same location. At the time in 2023, we charged, it was $2,500. and we filled the room. Again, like I said, we ended up with 12 people somehow. So it was a tight room, but this time capping it to 10. But back then it was $2,500. But this time it's $997 for everything, which is that's the cost of the course alone. So now you're getting everything in the course and the 3-day event for the $997. And you're getting lunch, dinner. You're getting dinner on Friday. You've got to buy your own lunch. But you're going to see everything that we do and get all of our documents, contracts, access to everything we have online as well. But again, it's $997 for everything. Once you sign up for the event, then within 24 hours, we'll get you, make sure you've got access to everything online, to the lease option classes, all the documents, all contracts, videos, everything. So you can start to prep for the event. Last time, we'll do it again this time, is about a week before the event. We'll have a Zoom call with everybody so we can all meet and everything. And I can walk through the online training just to make sure that you know where to start, what to expect, and all of that. So we'll do that about a week before the event. But you're going to get access to everything. And as y'all probably know, that's why I charge for the course. And you're getting that and a 3-day event and dinner and a book and a free book. But again, as of today, as of this afternoon, we have 7 seats left. I'm not going to add seats to the room like last time we had to accidentally. It just gets a little too crowded. So we've got 7 seats left right now.
Last time Joey had to sit in my lap because it was so crowded.
He didn't. He just did that because he wanted to. But so again, you're going to get 3 full days of step-by-step training. You're going to get a very actionable game plan for everybody. You're going to watch us talk to the sellers. You're going to watch us do the deals. And you're going to learn how to be a hero in this market. Guys, at the end of the day, I know you're always thinking about money, but at the end of the day, you're helping sellers. You're helping sellers that desperately need you right now. So you're going to learn how to be the hero in this market. You're going to get my new book, the entire $1,000 course, and dinner on Friday night. But really, I think most importantly is you're leaving with a game plan, which we've all been to those big events. I've been to plenty of big events where you leave and go, that was some interesting stuff. And then, okay, now what? No more now what? You're not going to be saying that when you leave here. Again, we have 7 seats left. After this 3-day event, you will have no more excuses. I will tell you that. Donnie Fisher came to that event 23, and he's been cranking out deals left and right and goes to play golf 28 days a week, 28 days a month. So how do you secure your seat? You go to leaseoptionbootcamp.com, leaseoptionbootcamp.com. John, if you can type that in the chat box. Now, when you go to leaseoptionbootcamp.com, I believe there's a little video on there. That's actually from a year ago when we were going to have another one of these. We ended up having to postpone it. But even in that video, you're going to hear me say it's only $2,500, right? I wasn't lying when I said everybody else paid $2,500.
So the moral is wait till next year when it's $500.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we'll do it. I don't know if we'll do another one of these. We'll see. But
yeah, we could do more. I wish we did more, but yeah, these are rare. So I'm looking.
This is rare. And but yeah, like I said, even in that video, I had to make a new video, but my tech guy didn't get it. When I checked last, he hadn't got it uploaded yet. So it still has that old video where it says it's $2,500. So I wasn't lying. It was $2,500. But when you click the button, it says reserve your seat. Don't worry. You'll see the screen. It's $997. But leaseoptionbootcamp.com. Again, that's June 26th, 27th, 28th, June 26th, 27th, 28th. So just over a month away. Maybe, was that 5 weeks? Maybe 5 weeks away. Like I said, I made a post on Facebook and 3 people jumped on that pretty much immediately. And then after probably tomorrow is when I'll start emailing it out to my list and making the big announcement to everybody. So again, but we have 7 seats left. I don't think you can't beat this for the cost of the course. And you're getting 3 days live and dinner on Friday night. But to have, I'm telling you guys, to have Joe and I in that boardroom, that small intimate setting right there with you, and you're seeing exactly what we do. We're not holding anything back. We're showing you, okay, here's what we do. We do this, boom. And you're seeing us then do the marketing. You're hearing us talk to the sellers. You're seeing the screen there, and you're seeing us you're going to see Joe pull up the house. You're going to see him do his thing. You're going to hear him call these sellers, call those sellers. Now, of course, I'll try to time it so I've got a direct mail campaign that hits that week. So I've got sellers, I've got inbound leads as well. And you'll see me do a direct mail campaign right there in front of you. And you're going to see us walk these all the way through. You're not going to find a better opportunity than this. In this market, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer because so many sellers need you right now. It's crazy how sellers are just like, fine, let's do it. Let's go. Hurry up. How soon can you find somebody? But leaseoptionbootcamp.com at $997, June 26th, 27th, 28th. If you have any questions, once you get registered and everything, once you get registered tonight at leaseoptionbootcamp.com, then tomorrow we'll make sure to get you set up on the training platform, get you your access to that, your login and all of that. And then next week, we'll let you know the details of the hotel. They've got a room block for us. So we'll get that information out to everybody as well. So they've already got the room block for us, but it's downtown Fort Worth, which is a great location because you can walk to a lot of different restaurants there. So you stay at that hotel, you can really walk to multiple places for lunch, multiple places for dinner and all of that. So you want to jump on this, guys? Again, last time we did this, it was $2,500. I don't know why. I don't know why I decided this time, you know what? Let's make it a little more affordable for people because God knows we filled the room last time at $2,500. But this time I was like, hey, let's just the cost of the course and let's do this thing. So again, leaseoptionbootcamp.com, June 26, 27, 28. If you have any questions, reach out to Johnette. Her email support@leasingtobuy.com. Reach out to her. For example, if you needed to put it on 2 different cards or something, I don't know, something like creative like that, just reach out to her. She'll take care of you. Support@leasingtobuy.com. But I look forward to seeing you all there. These are fun events. This is how I got started training people. I started doing training people one-on-one, then tried to have a big event. That's a whole disaster. Nobody showed up. That was in 2010, I think. And then started doing these little boardrooms. And I was like, this is what I like, these little boardrooms. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You will not be disappointed at the information that you get. So I'm looking forward to it, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it.
I hope you have some new jokes this year.
I've got a whole new set of material.
Good.
Douglas Lynch, you're going to love my new jokes. I've got a whole bunch of new ones. All kinds of jokes. Jesse Cruz, hope to see you there. Kathy Parker, you got to be there. Okay, bye, Barbara. Good to see you. And what did I see? Dave Yonkman. I always say Yonkman. I don't know if it's Junk. I said your book went out the other day. I don't know if you already got it or not, but anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you all there. June 26, 27, 28, leaseoptionbootcamp.com. So anyway, that's it, guys. I think I asked. Oh, good. Ben got my book already. All right, good. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, this book has. Oh, you got the book, Ronnie! Yay! All right. Okay, I couldn't remember whose went out and who's in because I had a few more to ship here. But yeah, the book it's full of QR codes with training videos and stuff. It's really good. All right, guys, that's it. Joe's got to deal with his cat. And anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys at the boardroom. But go to leaseoptionbootcamp.com. And then tomorrow, after you sign up, then tomorrow we'll make sure to get you emailed with your login to all the online information, your access to all the training, and then we'll get you all the hotel information next week because they've got a room block, but I want to find out if there's a code or something. But we'll get you all that information. But that's it. That's it, guys. All right. Take action, guys. I'm telling you, there's no better time to be in this space than right now. I don't know how long it's going to last. No. Maybe it's going to last for 4 years, 5 years. I don't know. It's the time to be in it, man. Time to be in it. All right, guys. Take care. Look forward to seeing you in Fort Worth, June 26, 27, 28. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.